Okay, hello and welcome to this session of iPad Basics. We're going to get right into it by showing you how to boot up the iPad from off mode. Simply click on the black button in the upper right hand corner of the device. Now the thing to remember here is that this is what you do to boot up the iPad from the off mode. But the off mode is not the same as sleep mode. Frequently when people refer to turning the iPad off, they're really talking about putting it into sleep mode, which means that it's just in a ready state for it to be turned on. You'll know that you're booting up from off by seeing the Apple icon, and it'll take several seconds, maybe up to a minute, for the device to boot from there. So when you're in sleep mode, there are actually three different ways to turn the device on. The first one is like we showed at the beginning, the power button in the upper right hand corner. So simply pick up the device, look for the black button in the upper right hand corner, and when you push that button, you'll see now this time the device just comes right up, and you can slide to unlock. So the device doesn't go through the Apple icon and it's ready to go. So that's method number one. Method number two is to use the home button. So if we go back and we turn the device into sleep mode, we'll turn it off with the on-off switch. Now if we use the home button, we can turn it on right away from sleep mode by simply pressing the home button. And then if we turn it off again, the third method is with a cover. So there's a magnetic switch in the device that when you open the cover, it will turn the device on from sleep mode. So three ways to turn the device on from sleep mode, but only one way to turn the device on from the off mode. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is orientation and how you can use the side switch to lock the orientation or rotation. So the iPad has two orientations, portrait mode and landscape mode. So landscape mode is kind of the wide, portrait mode is the tall. So you can see it automatically adjusts based on how you're holding the iPad, but then there's a side switch that you can lock the rotation. So simply move the side switch to the up or down position and you'll see that it toggles from locked to unlocked as indicated by the little graphic in the middle of the screen there. So that's unlocked and that's locked. Now if you're not seeing the locked and unlocked icons and instead you're seeing mute and unmute, don't worry about that. We're going to show you how you can toggle between those two. That's just a customization setting and we'll go through that in just a minute here. Next up, we're going to walk through the navigation on the iPad and show you the different parts of the screen and kind of what they mean. So we're going to go from portrait mode, and the top line is what's called the status bar. Now the status bar has indicators. On the left hand side it says iPad and there's an indicator showing wireless connection. Then in the middle is the time, and to the right is the rotation indicator, whether it's locked or not, and also the battery percentage. Then we go down into the main part of the screen, which show apps. All of the app icons are there. And in the middle of the section there you can see those white dots. And those white dots represent what home screen you're on. So you can have up to 11 home screens that you can move between by simply swiping left and right. So if I swipe, you can see that I've got probably 6 or 7 different home screens there, and I can just swipe between them to determine which one I want to go to. Now to the far left, if I go scroll to the left, it's called the search screen. And from the search screen, it's a very useful screen. It's always to the left, and I can also get there by toggling with the home button. So the home button, just clicking that on and off, goes always to the main home screen and then the search screen. Now search is very useful. I can type on search for something like a Safari. So any of the applications or the apps that are on the device I can search for, click the button, and then it will bring the app up. I can also use the search screen to search for other kinds of information. So let's say rather than an app, I'm looking for information on a person. So in this case, I have a colleague, Jean Varnold. If I search for her, you can see that I get her contact information. I get emails associated with her, and also some events that are associated with her name. So very, very useful tool to search. And again, just go back and forth between the two. Alright, so you'll notice that the bottom row is a little bit special. It doesn't move when we swipe from left to right between the home screens. Those apps are frequently the most commonly used apps, and they're anchored in that bottom row, so they don't move. Alright, so now we're starting to get in some of the fun things. So we're going to show you the multitasking bar. And you get to the multitasking bar by taking 4 fingers and swiping up. And that will uncover a little section at the bottom that has all of the apps that are currently running in memory on the iPad. In addition, in the multitasking area, if you scroll all the way to the left, you'll see the button on the far left is a volume control, and then there's a slider switch for brightness control. Those are nice controls to have that allow you easy access. 4-finger swipe back down to close that area, and then we're going to show you some of the settings that you can use to change these around a little bit and personalize things. This is the area that I alluded to a while back where you can go in and change the settings to either configure the side switch for orientation lock or for mute and unmute. So it's just a toggle between those two, and we're going to show you how to do that right here. Okay, so we're going to go into settings. Settings is the little gear icon that you see in the bottom there. We're going to get more and more familiar with this. The section that we're going to go to is Use Side Switch To, and this is a personalization area that allows us to toggle between either mute or locking the rotation on the side switch and the icon in the far left of the multitasking area. So it's an opportunity for you to configure your iPad whichever way is more convenient for you, to either lock the rotation in the bottom left or use the mute button in the bottom left. And you can see that it just toggles back and forth between those. Okay, so we've seen the multitasking area, and we've seen that you get to that by 4-finger swiping from the bottom up. Now what we're going to do is look at the notifications area. And rather than swipe from the bottom up, we're going to use a single finger and pull a section down from the top. This is the notifications area, and it's where the iPad puts all of the information, notifications that different apps will give you. Now you can clear this area out by taking each highlighted area and clicking on it a couple of times, and you'll be able to clear those sections like you see me doing here. So those clear out the different notifications, and then I simply single finger swipe that back up and it puts it back in its spot. That's where we're going to wrap up this first session on iPad Basics. So we've covered quite a bit. We've covered powering up, and we've looked at the difference between sleep mode and off mode. We've looked at orientations and portrait versus landscape, and then looked at how to use the side switch to lock rotations. We've taken a look at navigation, and we've seen the status area, the apps area, how to look from different home screens where you're at, and then also the anchored apps toward the bottom. We've talked a little bit about the multitasking area that you use a 4-finger swipe up to get to, and then the notifications area where it's a single finger pull down from the top. So if you would, if you're interested in learning some more, click in the upper left-hand corner of the video, and we'll take you to the next one, the part 2 of our iPad Basics series. Thanks much.